All right, we are back in the chat. I believe we're looking good live-wise. I'm gonna kind of give this a couple of minutes here while I'm waiting for some folks to jump in, and then yeah, we'll get to it. I'm waiting on one viewer right now, perhaps a few more. Uh, Hopefully there'll be quite a few of you, and then we'll get this ball rolling. Just give this a few more minutes. Um, yeah, we're gonna want to really look into this. So, um, quick shout out to Circuit System while we're just kind of chilling in here. Uh, you know, they're the crew. They are me, as I am you. No, joking. Uh, no, but they're the crew. So, would want to give shout outs to them. When you guys get a chance, please check out, twitch.tv/Circuit System Live for all of our upcoming events. We also have some on the Intergalactic Audio Twitch. DJ Rebel Line does his shows. He's kind of a pop-up at random. Same with Horge. Um, and then we have, Wires that does Plug. They do their interviews. Speaking of which, we very well could be hosting an interview here in the near future, I'd say. Um, yeah, I got a few artists that I really want to chat with and kind of, you know, talk to. Or chat with, talk to. It's the same thing. But, I kind of want to just get in there and pick some brains apart, right? Um, yeah. I'll give this another like minute. Looks like we got a viewer in here now, so be able to get this going here. I just want to, verify that everything's working the way that it's supposed to be. And yeah. We'll go ahead and get started. So, here we are. It's Mixdown Mondays. It's the very first episode. I have a track that I kind of started working on here, and I'm pretty excited about it. It's probably the happiest sounding track I think I've ever made. One thing to be mindful of is that I am not doing a recording, so whatever we do here, that's live. It's live. Every little bit of mishaps, mess ups, whatever, it's happening. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll record this real quick, or not record this. I'm gonna hit play, and we'll give this a run through. You guys can kind of hear what I'm doing. And for this track specifically, because I recently downloaded some samples, so I really am using the sample method here, the sample and loop method. Granted, not for everything. We're definitely going to be adding some of our own kick drums. We're going to be adding some rides, maybe some closed hats, maybe even some open hats. We'll probably throw in another little clap somewhere in here, and maybe a snare, maybe a rim shot. And then I left the actual MIDI here. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Let me get this live screen on. I left the actual MIDI here, and eventually what we can do is we'll put a synthesizer on here. We'll take this root note down here, which is F2 it looks like, and then we'll kind of build our bass line off of this section here. We may use something from up here on the top. We may use these for, you know, this section right here, we already have some chord progression going, or some chords here, so we can use the chords and kind of build something else out of that. Really have a lot of freedom here, I guess is what I'm getting at, what we could play with. So I'll give this a close. Um, we have what? I'd say about 4 minutes of this track already done. And chances are we're not going to utilize the rest of this here, right? Like, we're probably going to end up we'll cut this out, a large portion of this out, use that kind of as an outro. As we scroll over here to the front, really we did an 8-bar intro, and then we kind of, oh, I'd say like really we did like a 30, was it 33 bar intro? So yeah, we really did like a 32 bar intro is really what we did. When we get to the first drop, and then we kind of bring it up here in the later section. So let's go ahead and just give this a run through. By all means, if you're in the chat, go ahead and let me know your opinions on things. Eventually, I'll put in my Discord in here too, just so we kind of have a cohesive network. But we'll start with this. So let's go ahead and give this a run through. Let's listen to what's happening right here. cigarettes and soda. I don't know if you guys caught that little burp or not, but my apologies. Um, cool. So we gave this thing a run through. Um, and massive shout out to my boy Trox in here right now. If you guys get a chance, please check out his streams too. Twitch.tv, and I think it's DJ Troxy, maybe? Troxy, if you could put that, if you could want to, you could totally plug your link in so people can get over to you. Oh, it's this right here. It's virtual Trox. There you go. So yeah, if you guys check out his channel, he I he's a really good friend of mine. Love that man to death. Fantastic producer, great DJ, sound engineer, the whole kit and caboodle. So definitely go follow him as well because a lot of the tips and tricks that I'll be using are things that he and I have discussed, offline with ourselves. The first thing that you guys will notice, and I intentionally leave this up, is you'll see that there are some channels that were redlining, and we got to a section right here, yeah, at like 128 bars ish. Yeah, where I had all of my synths kind of pull in, and there was a lot happening in that section, and it got really loud compared to the rest of it. And you'll see that there was some channels that were redlining. So we're gonna want to tame those first, really, right? And this is when things start to get a little quiet. Yeah, if you don't redline, you don't headline. Absolutely, that is an ongoing joke. And if anything, I'd blame it on the amount of drinks that a lot of DJs will kind of put it in themselves, or just like you get so hyped up, you're just kind of trying to turn the volume up on things, forgetting that if you have a good sound engineer, chances are you're like through two or three compressors, and it doesn't matter how much you turn it up, it's not going to go any louder than what you're getting right there. But yeah, that's definitely it's definitely an ongoing joke. Um, so really what we're going to want to do, and this is something that I do. You don't, not everybody in the world has to do this, but I'll open up a channel here and I'll just kind of bring this channel all the way up to the top. Um, every DAW is different, so keep that in mind as well. You know, in my case, I'm using Reaper. It could be different if you're using FL Studio or Ableton or Bitwig or Logic, whatever you're doing. Um, you're gonna want to do what I'm gonna do now, which is we're creating buses, we're creating groups, and inside of those groups, we're gonna be tailoring everything down. Every channel is gonna have an EQ on it, likely. Every channel is gonna have a compressor on it, likely. Not every channel will have a limiter on it, although, you know, 3, 4, 5 years ago, if you were to be watching one of Laid Back Luke's producer sessions, he would tell you, put a limiter on the master, and then you're gonna be putting a limiter on every single track, and that's cool and all if you're making really, if you're making electro house like he does. He uses a lot of like distortion on his kicks and things like that, so he uses those limiters to create extra color in his tracks. Well, we don't necessarily have to do that. If things are tame after we slap a compressor on it or two, there's no real need for us to venture in to slap a limiter on every single channel. Um, we might end up doing that. We might not, And Trox just put a good point in here that if you're looking to produce a track, leave the master at -2 dB. That's definitely something that you're going to want to do. I personally like to leave my pre-masters at like -6 in the end, but uh, things can change, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. It could just sound better at a higher dB, or maybe I'm lacking some energy somewhere. So what I'm trying to get at is don't discredit what Troxy is saying at all. Yeah, exactly. So Troxy brings up a good point. It's all about dynamics, and that's something to keep in mind. There was, from like 2012, I'd say, to probably maybe even like early 2016 or early 2017, making the loudest track possible was what it was all about. And that's because predominantly a lot of people were using MP3s when they would go out and they'd go DJ. You play on a sound system, it's not that great. You get music from a record pool or whatever you want. You're going to be playing MP3s, and chances are those MP3s are going to have a lot more brighter of a sound as opposed to if you were to use like a wave or an AIFF where you're going to retain those lower frequencies. You're going to have a lot warmer sound and more of a round sound, and there's a big shift now that players are actually capable of playing the music, right? Because you want to have as much of that frequency as you can. You want to retain that. That's a huge part of dance music. It's supposed to make you want to dance, not just sit there and listen to stuff, throw your hands in the air, and have a couple drinks. That's the end result. But it's there to make you dance, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. So as we're kind of going through this, again, I'll break stuff down as I'm going. And what we'll do is we'll just do like a select all real fast, and then we'll add mute on everything. I'm gonna unmute this, and I'm gonna unmute this. Uh, and what we're gonna do is first we're gonna separate all of our synth sounds into its own bus. Then we'll separate all the drum sounds into its own bus. And even between those two, it's so easy for us to compartmentalize those two things. I feel like nobody actually listens. Oh, actually listens to music. This is yeah. I would have to agree with that, and I would have to piggyback off that by saying that creating a 6 minute song or a 5 minute song, as a lot of us do, is really cool for those instances where someone actually wants to listen to the track. But to be fair, how many of us actually make it through 3 minutes of a song without starting to blend in the next track as a DJ anyway, or even if you're a festival goer, or if you're just someone who, now that everyone's COVID, we're all sitting at home watching our friends DJ streams, or a DJ that we likes deciding to do their own DJ stream, whatever have you. Exactly, yeah, they want it now. You could blame a lot of that on like the cell phone era. Troxy and I both come from the 80s or prior to the 80s, so if we got music, we're listening to that album through and through. There wasn't like maybe one or two songs you weren't super hyped about, but screw it if the other 8 to 12 tracks on that album are amazing. And I will say that I definitely will listen to entire tracks when I get something new. I'll click through it just to get a feel for if I even want to listen to it. But if I like that track, you best believe I am listening to that whole bloody track from start to finish. Anyway, we'll go ahead and let's start organizing this. Oh yeah, and quick shout out to Wavepoint. Um, I'm using some drum samples and loops that came from Wavepoint. You'll see those in some of my streams. I also have a bunch of other ones coming from all kinds of different sources, from Loop Masters or Plugin Boutique. I've had some loops from them. Sound or not SoundCloud. Beatport. I've had some stuff from them as well. So I definitely have stuff from all over the place that I've just acquired over the years. And you know, obviously I'm using all the things that I've licensed. A lot of these things are even free downloads too. So exactly, like going to a record shop and just putting the needle on the records, and you're like, oh, that's so. See, that's what I'm talking about. If you go somewhere and you're just dropping that needle to different points, and you're like, you know, and DJing on vinyl is a whole different beast because a song could sound like garbage because the needles are garbage or the record was warped or something like that that could skew you from wanting to purchase that album. Or you could find that rare gem that you love so much you buy like 3 copies of it because you know you're going to play one out. You know that you're going to want to listen to one, and then you know that you're going to want one, on your shelf for that like just in case type of scenario. So a lot of old school heads, will they're used to having to do that, right? So I think that's kind of a trait that we've picked up over time. Whereas if you're kind of a new artist in the digital era, you go on to Beatport and you listen to that, you're gonna yeah, there you go. See, 3 copies of it. That's what I'm talking about right there. But yeah, you're gonna be able to kind of click through things, and a lot of times you'll get a preview of a track. So like Beatport, if you go onto Beatport, you get like a 2 minute preview of that track, and it's like a random preview. They don't give you the good chunk and the meat sometimes. Sometimes you're just like, oh, I guess the song is cool, and then like you'll go on YouTube or Spotify and listen to that whole track, and you're like, whoa! Turns out I really like this track. And I feel like that's important. I believe I was gonna make this one the synth bus, so we'll just take this channel. We'll just type synth bus. We'll create another channel too in a little bit, and we'll call that the drum bus. Actually, I wonder if I should. Yeah, I'll just start with this then. I'll make this the drum bus. So we'll just take this synth. We'll just change this to drum. Make this a drum bus. Cool. So here we are. We have our very first sound. This is a really lovely loop. Um, Honestly, this loop kind of inspired the whole track really as I went through because I downloaded the Waypoint house sample pack that they just released. The question and the answer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, making stuff dance around in the track, and definitely something that I'll touch as we're going down the road. But this first sample, I fell in love with this sample, and it's just this like, it's listen to that. So and right there you're gonna see it redlined, right? And there's a very hollow like kick in that red line, and I'll go over that when I bring up the EQ. I'll go over that. And we'll play with that a little bit, but that little like it was a little bit of a broken tropical swing just right out of the gate. Boom, boom, ba-da-bum, bum, ba-da-bum, bum, ba-da-bum, bum. So you can add a four on the floor kick drum to that, and you'll get a pretty basic like tech housey almost feeling vibe. Yeah, it's still housey, but like it's to me, I hear more of like a tech house start in that loop. But we'll take just this guy right here, and then we're gonna just drop it into this drum bus. Uh, and then again, as soon as I get all this put in, I'll probably compartmentalize that a little bit further. And we'll go on to the next thing and the next thing. So cool, we got that going for now. We're gonna unmute this one. We'll go to the start of it, and we'll mute this one too. And let's just kind of give this. Oh, I just moved this back to. We'll give this a listen. Bum 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 bum. So that cowbell. First of all, I love cowbells, and I'm even a part of a group for the record label, More Cowbell. So I'm gonna have to like give this a little bit of a shout out to them real There you go, Soka. Yeah. And then we'll unmute this one. We'll listen to these kind of on top of each other now, so you can kind of get an idea of. Well, you kind of heard it in the beginning of the track too, but we'll get an idea what this sounds like just these two without everything else. Oh, well, we're gonna need more cowbell for the song to sound correct. That guy's such a phenomenal actor too, man. I love that guy. He's a phenomenal actor. All right, let's listen to this next loop right here. There it is. The other cowbell. All right, we'll bring this up into this bus too. And in Reaper's case, we got to be careful. And I don't know if you guys caught that just a moment ago when I was dragging up. There's a little blue line that goes underneath the channel, and the blue line will kind of shrink or increase depending on if you're going to stick it inside of one of these or if you're going to leave it on the outside. So if I pull this up, you'll see it's showing that the other cowbell is going to go into into the first cowbell loop. But if I leave this where it's stretched out, it's going to leave it level. So they're all under just the drum bus. And then we'll go ahead and we'll give the three of these a listen real quick. Right, so we get that feel and that swing, just like Troxy was saying a moment ago, we get that swing going, swing, swing, swing. It's kind of funny how just little elements like that kind of really glue the vibe together of the track, right? And then we'll solo this one. This is just a shaker loop. I just fell in love with this shaker loop. I'm gonna end up creating my own closed hats and hi-hats down the road, and some rides as well. I really love how this one kind of came out. And see, even right there, if we were to four on the floor of that, you'd have yourself a total like standard housey sounding vibe, right? So we'll bring this up and then we'll listen to all this put together. There we go. Now, I could be asked, hey, why'd you choose to leave the highest or the shakers broken up right there? Why didn't you let it play all the way out? And it was to create atmosphere. I knew that in this section here, I wanted to eventually add a really nice delay and a reverb, and I kind of wanted things to swell and build, and that'll be something that I go down along the road as well. And there we go. See, you got a, oh, what's up? What's going on, bruv? Nice to see you in here, man. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, see, so we got, like I said, Troxy's a sound engineer, a DJ, and a producer. He's going to be drilling in dynamics the entire time that I'm doing this, and I need you guys, if you're in the chat, if you're looking at things, pay attention to what this man is saying. It's important to understand dynamics from the very beginning. Okay? When you're working on music, it's okay to outline things and kind of give yourself an idea of where you're going to go, just like you would sketch out a drawing before you lay down and you trace it over with an ink pen or whatever have you. You know, you you want to perfect it, right? You want it to sound good. And honestly, the idea of any producer really on your pre-master, you want it to sound the absolute best that you can during the mix down phases as you're getting ready to pre-master. And then as soon as you pass it on over to your sound engineer who's going to master it for you, or you take it on yourself. Some people they're good enough to do it themselves. I'm not one of those people, so more power to everyone out there that can do it themselves. Um, but I want to try to do this mix down portion as cohesive as I can. So when I do send it over to a sound engineer, which could very well be Troxy here, I want to minimize the amount of work that he has to do for post production, right? For the mastering phases. If he just has to slap on a few things like a multi-band compressor or you know another limiter, or he's going to EQ it a little bit further so it sounds more commercial, if you will. If he has to minimize the amount of work he has to do, I did my job right as the initial producer, you know. So, let's continue going on this. Right here I have an effects. This is just a nice little sweep motion. Not much is happening with that one, so I'm not gonna devote a lot of time to it. But now we're at the part where I want to do my synth bus. And if you're not the kind of person who is patient enough to do all this, no problem. Really, no problem. Um, I'm a perfectionist and a bit of a snob when it comes to my production, so I did. Morrison, man, much love. Thank you for stopping by and saying hello, dude. I really appreciate it. Massive shout out to Morrison. If you don't know who Morrison is, go check out SoundCloud, go check out Mixcloud, check out his Facebook. Fantastic drum and bass DJ. His streams on Facebook have been fired the past couple of times I've checked in there. A lot of respect for this man. All right, let's kind of go further down in this thing. We're gonna start off with our first synth, and that's gonna be this guy right here. Now again, I just got a massive producer pack. This is in this. It's called like the saucy pack, I think. For the life of me, I cannot even remember where I got it from. I have to check my email. I was scrolling through Facebook and just saw this special for 25 bucks for all these samples and like MIDI files and stuff. And I went, hey, I could use that stuff. You can never have too many samples. Even if you got to chop some of this stuff up on your own and like deconstruct it further, by all means, that's what it's there for. It's not there for just creating loops and tracks. You can do that, but chop stuff up, man. Experiment. Get creative with it. Anyway, let's check out this very first synth right here. Um, yeah, let's give it a listen. So, you see right there that we're trying to maintain that, right? We're trying to maintain that kind of almost tropical feel to this, right? That's kind of the theme, right? So we'll unsolo this, And let's kind of listen to what this sounds like. Now, right out of the gate, it's going to be just the very beginning of the track that we already listened to, but we'll give it a playthrough and you'll kind of understand why I've arranged the track in the way that I have up until the point where we get to this breakdown, right? I do too, man. That's why I ended up going with it. I love the melody. So as you can see, and thank you, I appreciate that, bro. I really do. And to both Troxy and Morrison here, they're showing some love in the chat. Uh, Honestly, these first elements here and that melody, it just sprung everything forward. Where I was like, okay, I know exactly what I want to do with this track, and within 30 minutes, I had already started to outline kind of everything how I wanted it, and then from there it was all a matter of building around it, you know? And that's kind of what brought me to what I'm doing here live now with you guys, is just to show you this is what we do as producers, man. And I can't help but to chuckle at the folks out in the world who are like, "Oh, well, music production can't be that hard, right? You can just jump on this program and like do it." No, it doesn't quite work like that, man, but I appreciate the enthusiasm. I can't tell you how many countless hours I've spent just, does this snare drum sound right? Does this kick drum sound right? It sounds really cool in these headphones. Let me try these other headphones. Now let me try these other headphones. Like, oh my god. Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely, Morrison. If I get some tracks that like line up with what you do, or if you vibe off them or whatever, yeah, all day, man. All day, all day. Gladly send them over. So we're gonna check out this piano here. You can see how it says heavy sampled. Now I intentionally left the name of the samples in here for the time being, just so that way if you guys were to have the same anything, you could follow along a little bit. Again, I have to reiterate this. All the samples and sounds that I'm using are licensed to myself. They're royalty free. Um, oh, there you go. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I appreciate that, Morrison. Thank you so much for that. Um, Back to what I was saying over here. Uh, all the samples that I use are royalty free. They're purchased. They're licensed to me. And I really feel like if you do get a free sample pack, or an artist sends you, a drum kit or their own sample pack, whatever have you, send love to them, man. If you do a bootleg of a track that you really like, give love to the original artists. Link up to them. Uh, you know, we have Morrison in here right now offering to have tracks being heard during one of his streams. That's love. That's what the music industry is all about. It's not about trying to screw over every person that you can to make the most amount of money. That does happen, but artists themselves aren't going to do that to each other. We understand the amount of work that goes into everything. This has only been a 35-minute stream. Yeah, the bulk of this was talking. We probably only did like really 10 minutes of listening, if anything. But throughout the time that I'm doing this, I'm going to plug in whoever I can. I'm going to give love to whoever I can. It's really important that we do that as artists. And during this time, a lot of people aren't working. Producing a track could be their livelihood, or having a track that needs to get mastered is another person's livelihood, right? So give love, give support. direct people where they need to go, especially when you have a younger artist or a beginner in your midst. Help them understand what the industry is like in a positive way and not in a negative way. I can't tell you when I was first starting DJing, even when I first started producing, right? It was just like this, oh, you have to do it this way. And like, I already had people telling me what to do with my music, and I spent so much time adhering to what one or two people wanted to hear. Damn it, I forgot about what I wanted to hear. And I don't make music just for everybody in the world to listen to. That's what I want to have happen, but really I make music that I want to listen to, or I need to fill a gap somewhere in tracks that I like, and I just don't have this. I don't have that one track that like, man, if I had a track that sounded like this mix would sound so much better. It would go really good with this one track. Instead of me hunting for that track, well, I'll just bloody make the track and call it a day. Anyway, back to this. So let's listen to this sample right here. Okay, so we really got that. We got to hear that one pretty decently. I'm gonna move this just a couple bars up, and then we'll listen to what that sounds like as that comes in. Now, one of the things that I did is I took the crossover out. A lot of times when you drag in samples into Reaper, it'll give you what should be like a crossover. I hate that so much. Some people might like it. I don't. I feel like it dips too low or like too high. It's almost like when you create the attack and release on, a sample, a synth, if you will. If you're trying to make a kick drum, and you can have a long release or the crossover, it could be, you know, a little further in or something like that, so it sounds like more is happening. It could be a short release, so that way it's just one sample to the next sample. That's the best way to describe it. And like the attack's the same way, just on the other side. But let's give this a listen. You hear that? It comes in really nice with that hi-hat. There you go. So you see that we're stacking on these synths, right? And we're building the vibe up, right? We're trying to tell the story, right? And it's kind of funny. I woke up and my body was hurting, and I just felt terrible, and I always do a walk around my place to get my circulation going, and I opened up the blinds and I had just looked off my balcony kind of down where the city street is, and the sun was out, and I went, you know what, I'm gonna make a song like I've never made before. I'm just gonna do something completely off the rocks, just something I don't usually do. We'll speed this up now here to where we have this breakdown. Now this is just a white noise filter sweep. There's nothing horribly special about it. I could have recreated this in my synthesizer. I felt like this one sounded good. It had a good amount of processing to it, so I just left it how it was. But, you know, I'm gonna give this a little bit of a playthrough so you can hear the drop, and then we'll listen to the first synth, and then we'll listen to the second synth, and then we'll listen to the third synth, and then you'll kind of understand why I've used so many variants of the exact same melody. And it's just to create an atmosphere and a push and a pull, right? As we said earlier in the conversation here in the chat, it was like talk back, and that's what we want. We want like a talk back, like a conversation happening. But here we go. All right, so we heard that one, right? I brought that in a little early. initially I was gonna leave it just that one, and because I really liked the way that that one sounded, but then I found this other one here. I fell in love with that sound. I don't know what it was about it, but it just reminded me of the Rugrats, and that was one of my all-time favorite shows growing up. I loved the Rugrats. We'll give this a playthrough though. It's just something about that. They're layered. It's just perfect. So, again, we're constantly creating this atmosphere, this thing that's happening. I can't tell you how many times people say, or not people, but like artists will say, the music is alive. Yeah, man. Yes, it is alive and breathing and talking to us. And we even have a third sample of this right here too that I didn't play a second ago. So let's give this another listen. This is the experimental part. I'm wondering if this synth will sound good if I bring it over here with this area. We'll give this a playthrough and we'll listen to this drop. Okay. Then we'll try it. We'll try it without these two here. Let's see if we get a difference. I don't know. I'll be honest, I can't tell if there's that much of a difference or not. Well, we'll just leave it in there then. We'll see if it turns out any better or worse. Yeah, we'll leave that. We'll leave that in there. Maybe we can create like a stack effect, right? Where we let these kind of play through and just create like a stair set. But let's kind of continue on here. Let's listen to this one right here. This other breakdown. What are you? You're a layered key. You come in first. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, let's bring that up here. again, we really, okay, so I'm going to take this part too. These sections are a lot of fun because of the way that I have it break down. It sounds just so beautiful. Oh my God. There it is. So we see how that drop was kind of uneventful, and it's because I took this synth out, right? Let's give this a listen from like right here. Yeah. Morrison, thanks for tuning in, my friend. Come back anytime. This is probably going to be an ongoing thing. I haven't figured out if I'm going to do this like monthly or weekly, or it really depends on the viewers and how you guys feel about it, if this is even worth your guys' time. So, any feedback you can give me, even offline, really greatly appreciated. Um, Again, friends, please check out Morrison. Hey, if you want to drop everything on, if you want to plug in your socials or whatever right there in the chat, by all means, man, please do. Uh, even if it's a mix you just had that came out, or if you want people to come check you out on, SoundCloud or whatever have you. Um, Real quick before I continue on with my stream here, if anybody gets the chance, please check out Audius. Audius is kind of very similar to the realm of SoundCloud, just minus a lot of the SoundCloud BS. So, all right, there we go. Everyone's already linked up. Again, greatly appreciate you, bruv. Thank you for tuning in. I'm kind of eyeballing the chat every chance I get. But every once in a while, I have to get back to this part, where I'm actually running the stream. I digress. We'll continue. So we're coming up towards this like last section here, and this last area, this is where it gets really loud. um, Ooh, that's loud. So now that we're at this part, we're this far into the track, we've kind of looked at everything. Stuff's compartmentalized right now. I'm gonna just do one more bus, and I'll put FX bus. And actually, let me change this because we'll do like sample FX bus. And the reason why I'm doing it as a quote unquote sample FX bus, I usually will do external FX. So I'll do every track will have a delay, every track will have a reverb, but it's very, very, very minimal. It's only to create a little bit of extra depth and space in the track. It's not used for any type of build-ups. There's no automation in those ones. It's just I need this sound to sound a little bit better. It's the same thing when I add saturation or distortion to something. It's only to make something sound a little bit more warm or a little bit more gritty, but the mix is so low, it's not going to be very abrasive. Where if I'm trying to do like an industrial style kick drum or a happy hardcore, just a hardcore style kick drum, right? Like we don't want it to be super gnarly. Now, if I were to be playing a guitar and it had like an amp plug-in, and I was going for a specific sound, then I would run it that way. But typically, I would do it as minimal as you can, really. You just want to give a little bit more depth to your sounds, right? You don't want to go super ham and then, well, the next thing you know, you're just frustrated. It's probably the best way I could put it. So we'll take all this stuff here and we'll look down here in our mixer. And really, this mixer, you can disconnect it from what they call the Docker, and you can move this off to another window if you choose to, right? You don't have to do it that way. I like mine being at the bottom. It's a lot easier for me to see, and I know what's going on at all times, whereas I might not, right? Uh, but we'll do this. We'll just drag all these down to 0, and we'll reset these, because we don't need to see that they're red line constantly, right? It's not an absolute necessity for us to do it that way. And the same thing over here on my master. I'll just turn this down as well. And I usually will grab my master like so, and I'll drag this all the way up. Um, I don't need to have any more than these two areas right here, because the only thing that I ever really put on the master channel is like a graph anal or a spectral analyzer, just to see how wide my track is. You're supposed to use your ears. Always use your ears. Your ears will lie to you a lot less than your eyes will. Um, but I will put that on there, and then I'll use the Voxengo span. No, is it span? Oh, bollocks! I can't remember what it is now. I'm pretty sure it's span, but I'll use that, and that kind of it'll give me a better idea of how round my track is, or if I need to push something more in the low section, or just I'm really just checking balance. That's all I'm doing, is I'm just checking the balance of things. But I digress. We'll maintain this forward here. This is a lot of synth samples, and I'll be fair. You can have your opinions on the amount of synths that I'm using, and you could tell me that it's too many or too layered or whatever have you. Honestly, it's okay. I'm gonna be ending up panning a lot of these later on down the road, or creating some sort of pan automation, right? If one synth sounds better, it's coming in from the right side, and the other one sounds better from the left side, or I want to kind of have them dance. I'm gonna do that. I didn't mention this earlier on in my stream here, but I'm actually producing at 130, and the time signature is 4/4. You can change the time signature to something really crazy if you want to. I'm playing dance music, and my phrases are like 16s and 32s, 8 16s and 32s. I don't think I have a single 24 bar phrase in this entire track. Not to say that they don't exist. I didn't make this track in that way. But we'll start from the very beginning. We'll take just this loop here. What is that? Oh, that's the That's the FX sample. Well, let's go to the front. We'll start from here. Um, so my kick drum is what I would actually ideally like to start, maybe at 18 minus 18 dB. And my drum loops I would probably have a little bit lower, but I'll probably end up putting my kicks, my layers of kicks at like minus 18 to get it to minus 12. So I'll do my drums at minus 24, I believe is probably gonna be the best thing. And this is where, it's really gonna get quiet. We can even turn up our, volume on. In my case, I'm turning it up on my headphones because I have my headphones plugged into my sound card, and then I have the microphone. So I'm gonna turn things pretty high on my end, and we'll pay attention to the right hand side. You'll see how it's not quite hitting that minus 24. Okay, take this stuff out. Okay, so we have that, and that sounds just fine. Now we'll move this up a little bit, and we'll start to bring up the next one. Now, one thing I forgot to bring up a moment ago, and I'm kind of kicking myself for it. Once you start the actual mix down process of all this, okay, you're gonna want to do it in mono. And I'm fully prepared to take all the guff that I need to for this, but if you can make it sound good in mono, just imagine how much better it's going to sound in stereo, right? And that's kind of what we're going to be doing now. We're going to be taking this. Oh, this is just the info. So we're going to be taking this. We're going to set this into mono. We'll do this next one. And same thing. We'll kind of go into this and we'll change this to just -24 flat. Yeah. And now we have both of these going. Yeah, see, it's a lot quieter. It's a lot easier to listen to, right? Are you really? Oh yeah, I guess you are. Start to bring this guy up. And let's bring this to probably -18 to start off with, and then maybe we'll bring this down a little bit more. Yeah, let's do minus, let's check this -24. Oops. Definitely don't want that. That's gonna be loud. Let's try 22. No, let's just try 20 then. Okay, maybe -19. Okay, so maybe -17. Okay. Hmm. There we go. Okay. Perfect. Now what it sounds like in context. All right. Now what it sounds like in stereo. Yeah, it sounds really good. Okay. All right, let's see. I have to let this play out a little bit. Actually, that's spot on. Okay. Let's listen to this in context. Oh, so much better. And now stereo. Ooh, I cannot with that thing. Where is that bloody thing? This thing. Riser, you gotta go, man. I had my volume turned all the way up. That riser came in. Ooh, not about that life. Alright, now we'll do this one. Bring this up a little. See, this is gonna be the hard part. Alright, now in context. And stereo. Oh, that rise was high. It was ridiculous. So much easier to listen to. Now this stuff's not like slamming. Alright. Let's see, where else are we? Yeah, it's good. Oh, this is not good. Maybe I want to turn this up a little bit more. And see, when we're doing this, we're really trying to pay attention to that peak, right? We're paying attention as to how high up that one individual sound goes. And we're doing that because we don't want stuff to clash. So even if it comes in a little quieter, but then it ends a little bit louder, at least we have that quiet part, or reducing the amount that we're going to be sending to the master channel, you know? We really want to be mindful of that. Boom, boom. Let's see where this goes. I haven't seen it peak up super crazy yet. Let's see. Boom, boom. Maybe minus 19 right here? Let's do... Yeah. Well, let's do minus 20? Oh, that's perfect. Okay, now in context. Okay. And then now we'll do it in stereo. Wow, look at that. Isn't that amazing? Something so simple. It's like, it totally just grabs you right there, right then and there, man. Like, dude, you're there. All right, now we'll do this one. Oh, now I don't. Okay, see that nice big spike? We'll do this minus 22 flat. I try to do things flat as much as I can. I don't always get my way though. Okay, we'll move on to the next one, which is that came in kind of heavy right there. Let's see which part this is. I love that. That's rather quiet. I think minus 12 would be a good one for this one. Let's do minus 12. Let's see how that came out. That's too much. So we'll do minus 13. Wait, did I put this one as minus 12? See that jump, that big jump? That's what we're going to want to try to tame with like a compressor and a limiter. Because when it jumps up like that super crazy right when you attack it, like we're definitely going to want to tame that. Otherwise, it's just going to be agony. And you know what? I'm going to be smart and save it right here too. I cannot tell you how many times any producer out there in the world will agree with me. You do so much to a track. You get so excited about it, bloody forgot to save it, and the program crashes. That, my friends, is why you don't get hacked programs, because, oh, that sucks. I paid for my version of Reaper. It was a whopping $60. All the plugins that I'm using I got on sale from Plugin Boutique. Like, seriously, man, no excuses right here. Even if you got no money at all, you could still get a bunch of free stuff to do things properly. All right, let's give this a go. Oh, and make sure you hit the save button. If you don't have an autosave, control save, command save, whatever it is, hit the bloody save button. Okay, that one's sounding fine. Yeah, do this one right. Yeah, that's what's happening. Is I need to be on this one. All right, let's see. What did we say? Minus 12? Minus 12. Okay. Do I hit? Ah, it still looks like it's too heavy. Alright, we're gonna have to bring it. It's at minus 10 right now. Let's do minus 11. I don't know why I won't save my minus 11. This one I'm okay with leaving a little bit quieter. So let's go to listen. Alright, now we're. That actually sounded really good. Stereo. Woo! Swell. It's gonna sound so much less muddy the instant we start to carve a lot of this stuff out. And I'm in two minds about this. Maybe Troxy could chime in. I think what I want to do is I want to start off by adding just a low and high pass filter on a lot of this. And it may only be a low pass filter to start off. Then I'll start to put on all my other cool things, whatever other plugins I want to use. And then at the very end, I'll do a EQ and compressor. Granted, like I said before, chances are I'm going to be compartmentalizing even the synthesizers that I'm working on right this very second. So I could end up doing it where I have my synth bus, but I have like my filtered offset sounds, then I have my like pads, and then I have my like retro sounds. And I know it's ridiculous to break all that stuff down, but they all have different places in the audio spectrum. And getting things right and in the right place and being able to just EQ an entire bus around that section is so much more beneficial than me sitting here bashing my head on the table trying to figure out the right way to do this, because there is no right way to do it. It just depends on what sounds good to my ear. Train your ears, folks. Train your bloody ears. It's not that hard. All right, we'll solo this one out. Let's give it a listen. All right, so we heard it in context. Now let's go to stereo listen. Woo! Boom, boom, boom. Well, it's playing off right along. Okay. Uh, okay. Doing a little bit of a plug here myself. Okay, so we have that kind of nice little vibe going. Let's go to the next area. Solo this guy out. Make sure we put back in a mono. And again, we're mixing in mono, understanding that it's going to sound a lot better in stereo. um, and yes, as Troxy said before here in the chat, or, you know, Trox said, definitely leave all of your bass lines in mono. Okay. If you want to add a chorus to it after the fact to give some sort of variant, go for it. I would recommend maybe even creating an external chorus that you then send the audio from one of your channel strips into, and that way you're having a parallel processing. So you have your dry sound, which is the one that we're working on, and then you have your wet sound, which is done by the chorus. And that way you can kind of even automate how much dry and wet signal you're sending to that channel. And it just kind of creates some more life and air to things, right? You know, it's again, where it's all about creating something that's going to make it come to life. You know, and that's what we want to do. We want to try to make things come to life right now. Um, and we're just having some fun. So we'll push forward here. Um, you know, I'm thinking I'll stop this in another, I don't know, 40 minutes ish, but we'll keep going. We'll keep, you know, if I continue on, I can continue on. If I don't, I don't. But let's get to this section right here. We'll start to slowly bring this up. Look how pretty that sound is, man. That's bloody adorable, this. It's too loud. Let's see. Okay, now in context. Okay, now in stereo. Ah, it sounds so good, man. Alright, we'll go down to this one here. Move this thing over so we can have a better understanding. Let's hit this right here. Let's bring this up. I love how destroyed that is, man. Yeah, but that might be fine. Alright, now we'll give it a go in... Oh, duh. I didn't put it in mono. Yeah, that's fine. We already listened to it in stereo, now let's give it a go in context. Oh, shout out to Obese Weasel. You know what? It just sounds so much better, man. It really does. All right, let's put this thing back into mono. Pull this up a little bit. So this one right here, we saw that it peaked over a little bit. Let's just go ahead and bring this to like minus 14. And then we should be able to get rid of that little peak that it did. Oh, maybe we'll do like a minus 15? Let's see. No, that's about right. Okay, now we'll listen to it in context. By the way, real quick, man, happy birthday to Obese Weasel down there. That's my little cousin. I love that kid with every ounce of me. You know, shout outs to that boy. Look at this. 19 years old, this guy turned just yesterday, man. Woo! I can barely remember 19 years old. No, I'm joking. I can remember it pretty decently. But it feels like it was forever ago. Oh, man. It's just it feels like forever. It's not that long ago. It was over a decade, right? You know, it's a good amount of time. But I know that there's some people out there who they're like 19 was 2 decades ago or 3 decades ago. Simmer down. I understand. You know, not all we're not all that old. Oh shit! Look at that. Oh man, I blew it. I went through this whole time without saying a single cuss word, and that one right there just got me. Hopefully, I don't get dinged for it. But 44 in 6 days, bruv. Woo! We have to get on like we're gonna get some games in on that day for sure. For sure. We'll get some games in on that day or whatever following day. Games of your choice, man. I'm down. Yeah, you're young. Don't let anyone tell you any otherwise. You got a fantastic family over there, man. Beautiful wife, beautiful boy. Look at you, dude. You're living the dream. You are the king of your castle, my friend. The king of your castle. Anyone tells you otherwise, punch him in the nostrils. I'm joking. Don't do that. We're too old to be doing stuff like that, man. That's gonna get us in jail. Uh, we'll go on to this next sound though. This brass sound. Let's give it a go. Gotta solo this out probably, huh? Bring this up. Where are we at? Oh, we're way down here. Okay, so we're down right there. Okay, give this a give that a go. Double check this, make sure it went. It did not. So bloody hell. You know what? I I I was reserving it for the very end, but I am definitely going to be adding a kick drum to this thing. Uh I don't know why it sounded good the way that it sounded so far and the reason why I left it like that, but I I don't know why it sounded good without a bunch of other drum work to it. For whatever reason, it just sounded good right where it was. But I agree with you. Adding a kick drunk. Legacy. Now I'm drinking. Now I'm reading what you're just putting on there, and it's just botching me all up. I'd be a horrible TV announcer. I could not read teleprompts for the life of me unless that was the only thing I had to do, and I didn't have to worry about anything else on here. Whatever. We need to have that turned down just a little bit more. I think we should turn this to like minus 16. Yeah. Yeah, way better. So again, that's kind of what I was saying before. We want we want the peak of the sound to not go past that minus 24 dB realm. And honestly, as I'm listening to this, I could easily pull this down even further. Yeah. You know what, man? Maybe one of these days I'll do a stream where both you and I work on a track together, and I'll figure out a way to give you some control over the computer, and we'll fiddle around with this. Um, I agree with you, dude. I was just thinking in my head that I might be pulling some of these down to create a little bit more of an atmosphere. But for now, I'm just trying to show just the staging of it, right? We're just creating the stage. The intricacies are definitely going to be happening. But let's give this a playthrough in context. Oh, that's in stereo. I'm sorry. Give this a playthrough in context. Perfect. And then now let's give it a playthrough in stereo. All right, cool. So we're just gonna keep moving right on down the ladder, and for viewers that are out there right now, beginning to get bored, let me tell you, minus the parts where I'm talking, this is what we as producers do. This is the amount of meticulousm that we add to every single one of our tracks. I haven't even gotten to the kick drums yet. I haven't even gotten to the snare drum or the hi-hats, or I haven't even started EQing everything just yet. Like, this is barely episode one of this track right here, and I'm honestly in two minds whether or not I want to like bore you guys with the details of me really dialing everything in, because episode two could just like legit be me adding on a low pass filter and a high pass filter just to kind of round things off a little bit before I start adding all the other stuff. And you know, it's gonna be fun. You know what, Trox, if you're down, bro, we might have to do a Discord call where I start to mix things down, but I'll have the audio of you talking coming through to kind of give some pointers, or like chuck in your opinions in between things, like have you really a part of the mix down process. I think that that'd be a lot of fun, considering that you are a professional sound engineer. It'd be interesting for up and comer producers to like hear it from somebody who's seasoned, right? Like I've made tracks and I have one released, and yeah, I have a track on Zona Music's first compilation, which by the way, you guys can probably check that out. It's a it's literally the Zona Music compilation volume 1. The track's called Depth. You can check it out on my Bandcamp. You know, for my Bandcamp, it's going to be Cyribro, Cyribro.bandcamp.com. And then Zona Music's actually, give me a second right here. Let me pull up theirs. Because I can't remember if they have like a specific link to that or not. um, but I'll give it a go. Yeah. Okay. So in this case, what did we put? It was in October. Yeah. Let me get the. So it's gonna be zonamusica.bandcamp.com/album. And then let me get what the other forward slash is. So yeah, it's a zonamusica.bandcamp.com/album/zona dash music dash compilation dash vol dash one. So I'm gonna type it in the chat just for everyone to have. Um, oh, look at me blowing it right now. Okay. All right, there we go. This should be fine. Yep. Give me a second here. Uh, this is some real love right here, guys. I'm typing this out to you in the chat. And I really don't. Actually, that's a good point. I don't have to do this. Let me just. I'll just look it up. I'm sure you guys can hear everything. Okay. Yeah. There we go. I'll put this in the chat for you guys here. Boom. So that one right there that I just linked is the compilation that my track is on. But if you just go to my regular Bandcamp here, that is where you can find my single. But let's keep going right here with this thing, this track that we're working on right now. All right. Where are we at? Here we are. Oh, see, I'm gonna blow it. We've been doing this for too long. Set to mono, solo it out. No, it's still too loud. Let's do minus 15, see if that doesn't help. Nope. Let's do, maybe we can do 17. You know what? As bad as I want to make that sound a little bit louder, I think let's listen to it in context. You know what? That's not all that bad. Let's go ahead and give it in a stereo. And I'm sure you guys can see it's kind of jumping up right, left, right, left. That's okay. It's okay that that's happening. As soon as we get further into the development of the track, you're gonna see that start to line up a little bit more as we start to add limiters and compressors on things. Right now we have nothing. Every signal that we have is dry. So if you're freaking out that you're seeing that, don't. It's truthfully not that important. Okay, I promise. Where are we at? Okay, let's give it to it. Yeah, right here. That's fine. Okay, we'll start to chin this up. Oh. Oh crap. No, I don't like that. Let's do minus 22. Do minus 21. Honestly, I kind of like minus 22, but we'll try minus 21. Let's do it. Check in context. Not bad. Check in stereo. That section on its own is just really loud, but I have a feeling that like, yeah, no phasing. You know what? I'll be honest with you, man. That is probably the most important thing that I try to stick to is to minimize the amount of phasing. I hate when I try to play songs and like two artists use the exact same clap in the exact same key, but one track isn't the same key as the other track. The snares just happen to be that way. So when you're trying to layer them up, it's just it sounds like it's in a bloody tube, man. It's like it's not great by any means. I don't I don't feel like it's great. But we'll go on over here. Let's check out these roads. Now, I'll be completely real with everyone out there listening right now. I would love to find a really good Rhodes plugin, one that I would just not even flinch that I spent the money on. I have something that's called like Lounge Lizard or something by. Oh no, it's Addictive Keys. It's Addictive Keys. There you go. I have Addictive Keys that is done by. Why I have it? I got a free download with my sound card, so it just must just be addictive. But because there's addictive drums too, and like several other things. But yeah, the keys, man. Oh my God, it sounds so great. And just Moog. Does Moog do a good one? I'll have to take a peek at that, man. I'll definitely look at that. I know that Moog's really good for bass lines, and it just has that really warm tone to it. But I suppose you're right, actually. Yeah, learn something new every day, man. This is why it's important to have production homies, man, because they'll give you all the like. Of course, it's old. Doesn't make it not good. Oh wait, are you talking about like an analog Moog? Oh, screw that, man. That's like a what, 2 grand? Get out of here with that, bro. When I say it's something that I'm willing to spend the money on, I mean like, I don't know, 15, $20 on a synth during a sale. Nothing like gnarly, dude. Screw that. Ooh. That's too much. All right, let's give this a listen right here. I love that. We forgot to put it in mono. So we'll do minus 18 on this one. See how it kind of peaked up a little bit? And we want to try to avoid that, right? All right, let's check it in context. Yeah, you know what? I couldn't even hear it in context. It's kind of there. Let's do it in stereo so we catch it in stereo. God, that is beautiful. Yes. One of the other reasons why I do spend time kind of chatting in between when I'm doing stuff is to let my ears take a rest. I still do have my headphones on, but I'm not pummeling them with sounds, right? And then, again, turning down the bloody volume. I think that a lot of times producers like to try to churn things up too much. And truthfully, if you're trying to like just get an idea for reference, turning things up isn't really like a bad thing. You start to run it into anything becoming a quote unquote bad thing is if you're just pummeling your ears with loud audio just so much, man. And you don't gain anything from it. In fact, you just like begging for your ears to be ruined, man. And $1 million ears, you know? So the way you have to look at it, you have to look at your ears like they're just they're worth millions of dollars, you know? Sure, you might not be, Dr. Dre or Puff Daddy or, I don't know, Skrillex even or Diplo. You you may not even be Richie Hawtin or Dubfire or Carl Cox. You might not be some like big name artist. That doesn't mean that your ears still aren't worth $1 million, man. That's what it all boils down to. And yeah, get some earbuds that are decibel reducing, If I'm out at an event and I can help it, before they started getting ruined, I used to have a pair of those dub annuators. The dubs annuators are like $20 on Amazon. I'm so upset that I didn't buy like 8 more pairs of those damn things. They were the best money I've ever spent in my life. Totally reduced the amount of anxiety I had in public locations, and I could easily tuck them into my ears and underneath the beanie, and no one would have any idea that I had them in my ear. But I was not like, oh God, there's so many people here and it's just so loud and I hate my life. Ugh. All right, put this back into mute. We're on our very last synth sample before we just got to double check on this riser, and we'll give it one last playthrough. We'll have some dialogue for a little bit. Any questions someone has, any input for just this initial part, and we'll kind of wrap things up a little bit and call it a day in regards to streaming for music. We might stream some games later on, but for now, music. Music is the theme of today. Let's give this a listen. Let's do -19 for this one. Yeah, that sounds a lot better. All right, let's give it here in context. And see oh, it's at the tail end of a really big section. Like, boy howdy, the section right before that was just loud. This whole section right here, bloody loud. All right, we'll give it a stereo. So much better. Okay, now the last and final piece of the puzzle for this thing so far is this riser. And, you want it to go through things, but you don't want it to, like, destroy your ears in the process, right? Let's just be smart. Let's be smart. All right, here we go. All right, mono. Honestly, I feel like that volume is fine. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're definitely gonna be adding hi-hats. That's probably gonna be in the next episode, or like if I do it in between things. I probably won't do like an actual mix down until I have a better understanding of how I want things to be laid out. But yeah, I'll be adding some close hats, some open hats. Again, a snare and a clap, probably not layered if I could help it. And then we'll do rides, probably a rim shot, because I think it'd be kind of cool just to have that like really reverberated rim shot. And I'll be honest with you, man, that might be the one of the episodes I have you on as well, just kind of throwing in your 2 cents. I'm gonna crack open my I'll crack open my reverb, and I use the SoundSpot Nebula for my reverb. Um, and then I used, actually, I think it's Oracle. I think Oracle is the reverb and Nebula is the delay. Regardless, they're going to be SoundSpot plugins. My other delay that I like to use a lot is the DDLY by Isotope. It does a really nice ping pong delay, and you can kind of trash that one up and get kind of weird with it. That's a lot of fun. That's like a lot of fun in my mind. But again, we'll kind of go over that. Let's listen to this um, first in context. So that actually wasn't that bad. I think this really big loud section I might have to just tear apart and rework, maybe take a few things out or something. I haven't quite decided, but that actually doesn't sound bad. Let's give it a stereo playthrough. Yeah, that little sweep actually was not that bad. Cool. So, you know what? That right there, I think, for this very first episode and just kind of going through, I don't know if I'd call this gain staging or not, or if I would just say that this is just metering, volume metering. We'll call it volume metering for now. I don't know the official name for what I just did. Maybe Trox will be able to throw in his 2 cents. But this, I feel like it sounds really good right here. The volume's not too bad. Uh, again, we haven't gone through, we haven't separated all the audio out yet. What I mean by separate the audio, we haven't EQ'd it, we haven't compressed it, we haven't saturated it, we haven't done anything gnarly to this. We just kind of dove in and just fixed the volume for what we have so far. Now, this is fleshing the song out is what I would call that. That's what I've done. I've fleshed out the song. I've got a good idea of the arrangement, good idea of where I want build-ups. I need a couple of cymbals and crashes and things to kind of break up the 16s, but we're sounding good, you know. I'm gonna go. I turned down volume on my end just a little bit because I'm gonna do a full playthrough of this song again. You're more than welcome to do the same. Dynamics, see? There he goes. He's gonna be drilling this in, man. He's gonna be drilling in that dynamics are very important, and it doesn't matter what genre of music you produce, it doesn't matter what instrument you play, it does not matter. Focus on dynamics. You don't have to be the loudest guy in the room, but if you sound the best, people are going to gravitate towards you. The crowd will go to you because you just sound better. I cannot tell you how many times in my lifetime as a DJ I've played the exact same song as DJ A or DJ B before me, and then I as DJ C, that's for Cyribro, I gotta plug that in. But I as DJ C comes over there into the booth, and I'll play songs that they've played the previous week or that they have in their own library, and oh man, why does it sound so much better when you play it? I'm not playing some dumb 320 MP3. I'm playing, a 1411 plus lossless file. I'm playing a wave. I'm playing an AIFF. It might not be a 441. You know what, dude? I like FLAC and I don't. I like it because it'll compress things a lot smaller and you get a lot more audio through it. But I prefer the raw audio. I prefer a raw wave. I don't care if the song is 64 megabytes plus. I don't care about that. I just want the absolute cleanest sound. And it bums me out when I get a track and it's a wave file and it's literally just a bounce. It's like a pre-master. And I'm like, dude, if I wanted to play a pre-master, I'd play my own damn music. I didn't just buy a bloody pre-master, man. It's a bummer. And sometimes you luck out and the artist will send you something really cool and it's a pre-master and it's a test and they're trying to feel things out. And like in that respect, dude, I can't hate on that because I'm getting something that a handful of other people have. So why am I gonna waste so much time and emotions on that one thing? I don't have to do that, right? But here we go. FLAC, it is lossless, but it's still compressed, man. Like working in FLAC is an art, okay? And if you try to tell me otherwise, I have some questions for you. As you are the professional sound engineer, and as I am not the professional sound engineer, but I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I don't know the full ins and outs. I just know that whenever I work with FLAC and I export not directly out of my DAW, but if I'm like ripping a CD or something because I want to be able to play it out. I don't have CD. People don't have CDJs anymore, man. You just load up a USB. But in that respect, like it's an art, man. It really is an art, and you want to do it the right way every time. But let's go ahead. We'll give this a quick playthrough. Oh, not a quick one. We'll just give a whole playthrough. I'm gonna mute my microphone during this time period. Uh, I'll still be able to read the comments and I'll type out my response. But here we go. Let's give this song a listen. All right. So there's the song so far, you know. Um, really appreciate everyone tuning in. Really appreciate all the feedback I've got from trucks right here. So stoked that Morrison decided to jump in and kind of show some love. Uh, you know, creating music is something that I've been doing since I was super little and just never really had enough confidence to want to release something or put stuff together. But I'm glad that I did, and I'm glad that I was able to at least get one track out into the wilds of the world here. Um, and you know what? We're gonna be working on these a lot. This is just one song. I have so many other tracks that are done right now. I'm kind of wondering if I want to maintain this level of like, uh, I take something like this, which was a sketch out, like a concept, and then I kind of expand on that and do it live in front of you guys and let you guys, see what goes on to Producer's World. I know that many years ago, Deadmau5 used to show his on Twitch as well. Oh, well, that's actually surprising, man. I'm glad that you picked up something from me too. That's that actually means a lot. I know that you're a lot more seasoned in this than I am, and yeah, that's cool that you grab something out of this. Uh, yeah, if there's any questions you guys have, slap them in the chat. Um, Trox has been super active throughout this whole thing, and I could not be more appreciative that there's was someone in the chat kind of keeping it alive and going, especially for the very first episode. And I'm super appreciative that one of the other homies jumped in too to show some love, and my little cousin stopped in. So it's been like a trifecta of perfection in my mind. We got about 45 seconds left, I think, of this thing. It was a lot of fun. Uh, and again, this track right here is called Better Days, and Daze is spelled Daze. I kind of wanted it to have a double meaning because I was in a daze in the morning when I woke up and opened up my curtains, and it was really bright outside, and it felt good to see the sun, and it feels good to listen to this track, man. It's all what it's about. It's just feeling good at all times, always, and making music to make other people feel good, always. It's just rad, man. Thanks